Hello and welcome to the NC podcast. My name is Natasha Collins and I am the host and also the founder of NC Real Estate, which includes its members club for landlords and property investors to come and build a profitable property portfolio that completely aligns with their goals. At the moment, doors are closed for that, but you can get on the waiting list. What I also suggest you do is head on over to ncrealestate.co.uk, where if you click on my programs, you will find out all of the awesome goodness that I have to offer you. So make sure you go and check that out. Okay, we're doing something slightly different this week. I want to get back to basics, and I am going to do a couple of very short coaching podcasts back to back. And the first thing that we have to talk about is goals, guys. So many of you approach me and say, hey, Natasha, I have got £70,000 in my bank, or I have got £30,000 in my bank, and I just do not know what I want to do with it. And here's the question that I am always going to ask you: what do you want to achieve? So I thought in this podcast, I'm going to ask you to go and get a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm going to go through how you set out your goals, because it is imperative that you do this. If you skip this, no one can help you, right? That's as serious as this gets. If you do not write down your goals, there is no help in the world that you could get from someone else who's actually going to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve, because if you are silent on your goals, then quite frankly, how do you know where you're going? You could do anything with £70,000. I could tell you, just buy one whole property and have a reoccurring income. Fine, fabulous. But do you know what you want to achieve going forward? Because if the goal of that is simply to buy one property, have £500 per calendar month coming in, fabulous. Check, you hit your goals. Well done. So that's probably not the reason that you're coming to me and asking for me to help you with the strategy, because I do think that if you're in that position, you would have probably done it without me. So let's go back to basics. Back to basics, back to basics, back to basics. This is always where we're going to start, because this is what's going to help you make your decisions going forward. So the very first thing that I want you to brainstorm is, where are you right now? What is it that you have learned? How many online training or in-person training, or how much learning have you done? Have you read books? Have you listened to podcasts? Have you asked questions of other people? Do you know what it is that you even enjoy about property? I want you to write that all down. How much experience have you got? Now, if this is the very first thing you are listening to about property investment, absolutely fine. We all have to start somewhere. But if you have been learning, experimenting, going out and getting some knowledge, please write all of that down. What podcasts you've listened to, what you've learned from that. You could put together a really nice little table, where date what you've done, what you've learned from it, what thoughts you had from it, because that's all going to help start putting you on your journey. So please reflect on that. Go back through your podcast history. Go back through your history on your browser and see what you've looked at. Are you in any Facebook groups? Are you undertaking any training now? Do you have a mentor? Are there people that you have conversations with? All of that is so, so, so useful. Don't ignore it. That is part of your property journey. So start there. Next up, I want you to brainstorm why. Why are you doing this? Why does property investment excite you so much? Why do you want to take your time to do this properly and build yourself a set of assets? What is it? And no answer is too silly. And my why has changed over the years. It started being that I wanted to build myself a pension pot and another income, and then it got more complicated. It was the fact that I like doing things with my properties. I like going in there and tweaking them and seeing how I can add value without necessarily going in and doing a whole redevelopment. That for me is exciting. What can I change from being sat at my desk, which is going to increase my profit margins? And now I'm out looking for properties that I can do that with, mainly because, as I've said, I've always wanted to be location independent. So it's very important for me that I can do that. But for you, it may simply be that you want an income stream and you want this property portfolio that is going to provide that for you. Or maybe you absolutely love the construction of buildings and you just want to experiment with putting together a sustainable design, or you want to build using this material. It does not matter. But please write down your whys. Why are you so excited to be in property right now? Next up, where are you today? Let's think about what you own already. What assets do you have? So firstly, do you own your own home? Where is your home? When did you buy it? How much did you buy it for? What is it valued at now? Do you have a mortgage on it? If you do, what interest rates are you paying? Is your mortgage repayment capital and interest, or interest only? It's all so important. How much money do you have outstanding on your own home? Therefore, how much equity is in there? Have you had your home valued recently so you know how much it's worth? If yes, and you've had it valued within the last 6 months, write that down so that you know how much you've got outstanding. Great, so you've bought yourself a property. But if you haven't, okay, that's cool too. Next up, let's look at your current property portfolio. If you own other properties, or maybe you've invested in other properties, for example, through peer-to-peer lending, or you've loaned money on a property, what does that look like? Again, we could go through all of the different questions for each of the properties, but the main things that you need to know: address of the property. Is it freehold or leasehold? How many bedrooms? Is it a flat, apartment, house, commercial, mixed use? How many lettable units are there in the property? How much rental income does it bring in each month? What is your net profit on a monthly basis? When did you buy it? How much did you buy it for? What is it valued at now? Do you have a mortgage on it? Yes or no? If yes, who is your mortgage with? What is the loan to value? How much is your current mortgage? When does the fixed term on your current mortgage product expire? What interest rate are you paying? Is your mortgage repayment capital and interest, or interest only? Those are all the questions that you need to go through for each of the properties that you have as an investment right now. Maybe, as I said, you've just invested in a property, in which case, how much did you invest? What is the interest payments? When are you getting the interest payments paid out? And when is your capital coming back to you? And then you can have a look at any other stakes you've got in property as well, or maybe any other assets. But you have to answer those questions. You can't just sit there and think, yeah, well, I own these properties, I know about them. Yeah, we'll come back to it at the point where I need to do something about it. No, we don't operate like that as property investors. We know this stuff now. And if you don't know this stuff and you've not got it organized somewhere, please, as a result of this podcast, go and organize that and put that into a spreadsheet where you can look through it, look at it really easily and think, aha, this is how I can adjust this property to maximize the value. Because the next step after you go from your goals, and I'm going to come back to goals in a second, but the next step would be, rather than going out and buying more properties, we have to maximize what you've got today. Because why would you not do that, as that's the simplest and cheapest way of increasing your money? So please map all of this out. Then we next need to look at what you have available right now. So your current resources. How much money do you have available to spend on your property journey right now? Whether it's cash, assets, investments, equity in properties, anything else you might have available to you. All of these things, it's so important that you note that down. Have it laid out so you are ready to go with everything that you have available. Because far too often, I speak to investors and they go, well, I don't know. And then we go a little bit more detail. Oh, I suppose I could pull money from here and here. Well, to get correct answers on strategy, have that information ready, because you are the only person who knows what's going on in your bank account. The other thing, Do your tax returns. Don't wait until January and suddenly rush them through. Do your end of year tax returns now. The tax year ended in April. We want to be seeing your tax returns because that's going to help you get increased borrowing. So if you've got all of that, put it together. So once you've looked at your current resources, we then need to think about your goals. What is it that you are trying to achieve? What do you want to achieve from property? It could be that you are looking for your own source of financial freedom. So you want your property to cover all of your current expenses plus some so that you can have a nice quality of life. Great. If that is you, we need to know what that figure is down to the penny. So you have to tell me or whoever you want to tell, I don't mind, or stick it on a goals board or whatever you want to do. How much does that figure look like? Yes, we can pluck £5,000 from the air, £10,000 from the air, but does that have any meaning to you? Potentially not. So start going through your accounts with an absolutely fine tooth comb, down to the penny. How much do you need to be bringing in on a monthly basis? Because we can work backwards from there. And as well as your expenses, you can then start mapping out what you would like your lifestyle to look like as you're earning more money. And again, start mapping that out. You can do what I do every single year, put together a vision board so that in the morning I wake up, I look at my vision board and I think, yes, that's what I'm aiming for. Or you can simply write it down if you don't want to do a vision board. It's completely up to you, but I want you to have that figure. Now, for some people, property isn't something that they look at for this major amount of money coming into their bank account. And surprisingly, well, you may be surprised, but I get it. A lot of people get to the stage of property where they have a couple which income generate, and then they just want to get creative and experiment, and that's fine. So I want you to start writing down, what is it about property that you're aiming for? What type of properties do you want to have in your property portfolio? And how do you want to play around with them? How do you want to increase the value? What type of property do you want? You've got so many choices now. What type of tenants are you going to be aiming for? And guess what? There is not a perfect answer here. It's about what excites you. Some people absolutely love having holiday lets, but other people hate it. I enjoy it to a certain extent, but I have one. And to be honest, that's enough for me. Everything else is residential, buy-to-let, and I'm moving into commercial at the moment because commercial is far more exciting for me. I love the lease strategy side of things. Honestly, I can't get enough. That's my bread and butter. That's what I've done for the past 11 years. That's what I qualified in, so I enjoy that. But other people are going to be thinking, Natasha, that sounds like the most dull thing you have ever spoken to me about. That's fine. That's cool. You do you here. But get excited. Writing down your goals shouldn't be this dull thing that you simply think, I should do it another time. Do it now. You're listening to this podcast. And guess what? I am running this podcast at half the length that it is normally. So you've now got a free 20 minutes to go and write your goals down. See? Helpful over here. So then you've got your goals, what you're trying to achieve, what excites you. And I then really do implore, I really think you should do this. Start going and getting ideas of what your dream property portfolio should look like. What in your mind are you imagining this portfolio to be? And again, you get creative. You can be as creative as you want to be. Because once you can start figuring out the types of property that you like and the things that get you passionate and excited, that's when you're going to start seeing progress. That is when you can ask meaningful questions and actually get a reply that's, okay, well, based upon what you've just told me, your strategy should look like X, Y, and Z. How clear cut is that? And then you can go for it. And the other thing to remember is that whatever you've put down about where you're starting from, what you've got right now, that doesn't matter because that's going to change. Situations change on the daily. So you can improve on that day on day on day. So just be very clear about where you're starting from, where you are looking to get to, And then the strategy in between is a lot easier to work out. Okay, there you go. You've got an activity to go and do. Please don't sit on this and think, oh, Natasha, you know what? I'll just do it some other time. There is no time like the present. Please go do this. Go and map this out. I cannot stress it enough. And it's going to change. It might change quarterly. It might change yearly. It might change every 5 years. So then at that point, if your goals do shift, go back, write it down again. It doesn't have to take that long. But if you've got a notebook somewhere where you can pop all of this together, and then when you're asking questions about what to do next, you've got this information, my gosh, it's absolutely going to revolutionize your property investment journey. So go do it. What are you waiting for? Right, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I hope it's been eye-opening to what you need to do next. And if you've even been a property investor for the last couple of years, still go and do this. It might have changed from what you wanted to achieve originally. All right. Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's given you some food for thought, and I hope you come out from it with a lot of notes. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, send me comments. I love seeing that you've listened to this podcast. Make sure that you share that you've listened to it on social media. Tag me in it. I will definitely make sure to repost you. Thanks for listening today. I cannot wait to catch up with you again soon.